Gates was done playing before he signed with Baltimore?
We were trying to help him out. I didn't, we had a couple of teams that, that either had released some people or had injuries, and they were looking for an older guy to go help their team. And, obviously the Orioles signed him. We were hoping that we could, do the same for Luke. Luke's got a couple things in the fire right now, Bonfield, but hasn't happened yet. But Gates, if you just took the second half of the season, he had a really good year, and his defense was really good and got some big hits. And, we wouldn't have made it to Omaha without Jared Gates getting hot like he did.
How many days have you taken off since you got back from Omaha?
What do you mean taken off?
I mean, like, have you taken any days off?
To do what?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Can't really take any days off when your phone's ringing and you're trying to get a roster going. I mean, there's been a couple here or there, probably a Sunday here, Sunday there, but a lot of times we're recruiting, I'm going to Kansas City in a couple days, and then I'm going to Cary for a couple of days to see some of the young 15-year-olds play, like some of the best in the country. It's just a good place to see them all. They're trying out for the 15 and under team, so that'll be a nice event. Yeah, not much, but that's just the way the job works right now. There's, a lot of times when teams finish their season, they get a little bit of a break. That's not the way baseball is, because the kids we recruit, they're playing in the summer. Football gets done, usually the high school kids are done, so they recruit different times. It's just basketball plays during basketball season. We play in high school season we play when the high school kids are playing, but then the summer ball is where they all go play on teams together, and you can see 7 or 8 on a team that are Division I quality if you go to the right places, which usually is Atlanta or South Texas or Florida. I've been to I don't know, a couple places in Florida. Coach Thompson and Coach Johnson have been back and forth to Atlanta. Nate's on his 3rd trip. Wes has been there 3 times and getting ready to go to Houston. And we were in the office for the first time. We called a quick meeting Sunday afternoon where all 3 of us were in the office at the same time, the first time since the season ended, just to go over recruiting and get on the same page again and who's going to go where the next 3 weeks.
So you've basically been on the go ever since the season ended.
Yeah.
Hey, I know that you and Coach and Hunter Yurachek have had conversations. When you look at what you want from a facility standpoint, where are those conversations at with him?
Oh, those conversations are well on their way. Drawings have been drawn up and redrawn, and some changes. And Hunter's all in. Razorback Foundation will help, raise the money for this. Is all in, and they're working hard. They've met with me a couple of times and our staff, and it would be a great addition, to this ballpark. And like I said, it's 90% for the players, I guess, and you could say our staff, because that's where our offices would end up being, and we'd be right there with them. And there's a lot involved in that building, and just making it look right in our ballpark and wrapping it around that right field area. And there would be some things for fans as well, where they could stand and walk all the way around almost to the scoreboard. And it changes a little bit here and there, but it's really about a new weight room for the baseball players, and a nutrition area, and the locker room, and we'd put our pitching development area over there, and it'd open up some things over here. It would open a lot up underneath too. Remember that fans, maybe, a lot of these stadiums, if you go around now, they have some amenities for, boosters and fans to go under, and maybe even a restaurant type things. There's a lot of things they could do if they moved us around a little bit. So we're excited about it. We've been approved to go ahead and talk about it with recruits, because that's what we're dealing. All you have to do is get online and look at Mississippi State Stadium, and you just kind of get blown away. How do you they already had a field, and they kept the field and the scoreboard, and they've spent $60 more million. That's amazing, So, it's not like we're just trying to keep up with them. We're just trying to make it so when we get a kid on campus, they feel really good about what's going on here. Then they feel like that that the baseball program is important and highly supported. I mean, obviously they come to game, they know how special it is, and that's what I tell them all. You know, this is a nice stadium, but what makes this stadium special is that it's full of people, and I still believe that. So we're gonna try to get that rolling and go out and talk to people this fall, and you know, whenever they say we can, well, you know, the board has to approve some things, but when they get it right and we get enough, I guess, money up front, we'll break ground.
I think you said in Harrison, it might be till after fall ball you can really reflect on the season. I mean,
well, that's when it slows down a little bit. When you think about it, you know, when school starts, the day before school starts, we'll have a team meeting that night, make sure everybody shows up and have everybody introduce themselves, and we'll go through what's going on for the next 8 weeks. 2 weeks before fall ball starts, we do a lot of skill work and lifting, and then 6 weeks of baseball and lifting, and then, you know, the off season, which is the end of October all the way until finals for the most part. We'll go through all that, and so, you know, once we get off the field in late October, then it starts to slow down because we only can work with them so many hours a week. So you get a chance to, you know, maybe reflect a little bit there and just get away from here. You know, last year I got vacation with the family for the first time in a long time, as I reminded all the time by my wife. So, you know, maybe we'll do that again. So.
Was that in October? Or when?
That was actually over Christmas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where'd you guys go? What'd you do?
You're really digging now, man. We went to Hawaii. How about that? Yeah.
Good time to go.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of strange being away from home over Christmas. First time I'd ever done
You guys
that.
go to Maui or the?
Sure did. You know the better places, I guess. So.
Well, I've never.
Hey, they just told me where to go, and I showed up. Karen did all the
I got to
planning
go
for
to
that.
Hilo one time. It's okay, but it's not
Yeah.
Maui. I doubt.
Hunter Milligan still,
Yeah, Hunter has, from what it's looking like right now, he's got arm problems. He had surgery, I guess, his senior year. Went ahead and said, come on in, let's see if we can get this worked out. Looked like it was going to be okay, tried to pitch. Arms always bother him, and I think he was told a couple days ago that looks like that he's going to have some surgery. So I think what he's going to do is have surgery and do his rehab back at home, and maybe go to school closer to home and do all his rehab there, and then start throwing again at the end of next year. We'll see how it goes, and then see if we're going to bring him back. I would say that's the game plan right now, but he won't be able to pitch this year. Same problem that he's had. It's a shoulder issue.
You made more progress on exhibition games. I know you mentioned OUs.
Yeah. Well, there's I really can't. There's a new rule this year that we can play 2 outside competition games, and they don't take off our spring games. The most games you can schedule in the spring is 56. It used to be that if you played a couple of games, then you could play 54 or whatever. This year they've changed the rule finally, and it makes sense because softball's been able to do it forever, and we couldn't figure out why we couldn't. We get to play outside competition. There is rules about how far you can go and missing class, but we're going to try to play a couple games. None of the details are out yet, but the plan would be to probably play 1 on the road in this region and then 1 here. I can't really give you anything more than that. Whenever we get some things lined up, obviously our game here, you know, we'll tell you more about it.
You obviously got hit hard in the draft, you know, from your team, but you made it through with your signing spree. How good do you think you guys could be next year?
You know, I think it's really going to depend on a few things. I think number one, we got to get our starting rotation figured out. I think position player wise, with the addition of 1 junior college player that will be a sophomore that has experience, and then obviously we have 3 pretty good hitters in the middle of our lineup coming back. 2 catchers with a little bit of experience, but they've been around Division I baseball and battling it out, and a young freshman catcher coming in. We'll see how he does. I think that there's a couple of guys in our program that it's time for them to step up, a guy like Kinley or McFarland, and grab a position. You know, we'll see how that turns out. And then there's a couple of very good high school kids that you don't expect them to come in and have a year like Martin or maybe Heston Kerstad, but they can come in and play, and maybe we can platoon somebody out there. And, you got a transfer too coming in that with experience that are older. If that works out, I think we could have a good club. I think you have to look at the league, where's the league going to be? And I said this earlier, LSU got all their guys back. They didn't sign. The center fielder draft eligible, he didn't sign. Number one pitcher was a sophomore draft eligible, he didn't sign. And then one of the best hitters ever gone through their program, the right fielder, Andrew Duplantis, I think he's got the hit record already. He didn't sign. He's going to be a senior. They're going to get their shortstop back that got hurt last year. So they're going to be awfully good. So we're going to be able to, climb ahead of them. You got Ole Miss. This will be the junior year of all their number one recruiting class from 3 years ago. They're pretty excited about their team. A&M got their whole team back. Mississippi State pretty much got most of their kids back. Auburn's got a lot of their guys back. They got a guy named Tanner Burns, maybe the best pitcher in the country over the next 2 years. Turned down a lot of money out of high school. He'll be a sophomore. So, yeah, they lost Casey Mize. So you start looking at the league, I just named 5 teams. The other team's us and Alabama. Alabama's got a young coach that's been getting after it and bringing in a lot better players. So I guess our thing is just to try to get as good as we can get and not worry about everything. And I don't know how to answer that. I think we're going to have a good team. And I think we got a lot of guys that know how to win and that want to win and know what our program's all about. And we need to find a way. And so it all starts with pitching. And if we can pitch innings 1 through 5, we're going to be pretty good because I feel like we got a lot of guys that can get us through the 6th through the 9th.
Why did Jackson Rutledge decide to leave?
Yeah, just not enough pitching time. Probably wasn't real happy that he didn't make travel squad. Wants to be a starter. There's a lot into that. Probably can't tell you all of it. Because there's always more than we can tell you. Inconsistent, who knows? There's just junior college pitching every day, get the ball. They play 4 or 5 games a week. They play 7-inning games. They need starters. You're going to go to a good program where they turn out a lot of pro guys, give you an option to sign. So I don't know.
What is that like? That you get a lot of kids in high school in here because they were starters in their high school, and now you want them to be relievers or closers, and it always seems like they keep wanting to start. How do you? Well,
usually it works itself out. A lot of times they'll tell you, "I'm good with that." Deep down, maybe they are, maybe they aren't, maybe their parents aren't, or whatever. So, this is the way I look at it. The Arkansas Razorback baseball team comes number 1 over everything, over me, over players. We have got to do a good job doing what we do, and it's all about how that locker room is. He's a great kid, and he's got a good arm. If he's healthy, he has a chance to pitch for a long time. Didn't get to pitch a whole lot, didn't go real good towards the end, all over the place. And, it's effective. Sometimes you just, how do I want to say it? Sometimes you just got too many guys. Sometimes you guys aren't as good as you were hoping they were. Some guys aren't as patient as they need to be. They want it now, and a lot of times it's not them. It may be somebody else that is involved with them. So we all deal with it at this level of Division I baseball, which is, one of the top 50 programs in the country, and on most years probably in top 20. And you're going to have good players, and, they turn around money to come here, and then you got somebody in their ear, and, hey, do what you got to do. We'll be fine.
You had mentioned at one point during the year about Heston Kjerstad maybe getting a shot at first. Do you envision him staying in the outfield, or going to give him a shot first in the fall? Well,
I think that we're going to move him over to right field. To me, he's more of a right fielder. He actually throws really well, just the way he moves. Left field's a little bigger here. It's bigger in a lot of parks than right, just the way it is some places. You start looking at all the stadiums, unless they've just got what I call a cookie cutter outfield, which is the same all the way around for the most part. The fields in our league are shorter and right. And he's actually a good outfielder. Yeah, he dropped a couple balls late in the season, but running and getting the ball, running to the ball, he's been good. I think he got worn down a little bit, to be honest with you. He played every game. Probably the only freshman I've ever had in my coaching career that played every game his first year. So that's one reason he's here. He's back. He went home. He was supposed to go play in the Cape Cod League, and we pretty much said, hey, you probably just need to go rest. And I think he was good with that. And He's here lifting. He's back in town lifting and getting ready for fall ball. But I could put him there if we go through fall ball and we realize, hey, he could go there and this kid could go in the outfield, and that makes us a better team. That's a good option. I think it makes him more valuable to the pro people too down the road. You know, he's a legitimate average outfielder at their level, and he's a good first baseman. He's a big kid with power. I mean, it's something that could happen. I don't foresee it right now, but you know, it could happen. But I do see moving him probably to right field.
So who would be in playing left then?
I just said we don't know yet. You tell me, and we'll go.
Who's the candidates?
Well, I got a lot of candidates. I got 2 freshmen. I got one freshman that runs a 6.5 60 coming in that is playing in a really average league, but he's hitting almost 550. He won't do that here. I got another freshman coming in that runs a 6.5 60 from the East Coast that's, you know, that already weighs 180, 190 pounds. That's pretty good. You know, the Goodhart kid that we got in out of San Jack, played left field for them. He could also play first base, third base, right field. Good hitter. I mean, I just named 3 off the top. And
actually didn't name the freshman, you just said.
Yeah, I won't name the freshmen because they haven't done anything yet.
Coach, last year you mentioned that when you were putting the schedule together, you said, what was I thinking of the brutal schedule? How about this upcoming schedule?
Well, last year's schedule, again, I've said it many times, it evolves, you know, over 3 and 4 years out. When you schedule those weekend non-conference series, you got to go out that far. Like I'm already working on 21 and 22. And then the midweek series, you know, you get a few in there, and then maybe somebody gets dropped or calls you or emails you, and you get, hey, we can work this out. This year's schedule, I mean, we're going back to Texas for our return of that trip. It'll be during our spring break in between 2 conference games. Charlotte comes back here for a couple of midweek games in early March. The conference series is what it is, you know, whatever they tell us we're playing, you know, the schools, the 3 or 4 teams from the Eastern Division. You know, non-conference, I think we have, you know, we play at USC, returning that trip to Southern California. I think we play Stony Brook, who went to the World Series I guess 2012, somewhere in there. Is that right? Yeah. I don't know. I don't know when they went, but you know, that's just a few that jump off ahead. I think we go to Missouri State. I think we have Memphis in here. You know, I haven't really looked at it lately, so kind of moved on and kind of looking down the road, to be honest with you.
Who are the SEC East teams you're playing? You mentioned Tennessee, right?
Tennessee at Kentucky, and that's in May, and their new ballpark should be done. That's about a $45 million project. At Vanderbilt, who probably a preseason 1, 2, or 3. They have 8 other starting position players back. Made it to the Super Regional and almost won it. Lost at home to Mississippi State in that heartbreaker. I think it went extra innings maybe. And a lot of big-time pitchers, and they kept a couple of guys. So they, you know, they'll obviously be good. I know those 3. I don't know.
You got Tennessee.
And Missouri. Did I mention Missouri? Missouri, Tennessee.
That's 4.
Kentucky and yeah, and Vandy. So I guess we don't play Florida, Georgia, yeah.
So Mizzou and Tennessee are here.
Tennessee's here, Missouri's here, Kentucky's away, Vandy's away.
All good. Okay. People want to know if Missouri's coming. That's going to be a big.
Yeah, I think that's opening weekend, maybe.
Is that right? Ooh.
It might be, yeah. So.